Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we give you our Royal Rumble 2021 recap. Hideo Itami makes his debut at AEW Dynamite. NXT Wednesday night had a good night. That's and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast.
I said it before. I'm going to say it again. You put some respect on Kenta's name, damn it.
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. You lie, you heat, you heal. You lie, you heat, you heal. And to my left, as always, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What is going on, Jason Cornelius Bell?
A lot of everything, shit. First off, allow us to bow our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 191.5, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smarks saying hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat. Obviously, with the 0.5 after the 191, there was some technical difficulties on my end. I am a fuck up, so that's why we are redoing the pod.
This is a unique show.
We're doing the pod on a Friday night. It is currently midnight-ish, Central Standard Time on a Friday.
Bit after, yeah.
So, no two-beer, obviously, since we're doing it so late. So that's my mistake on making the mistake about the pod and not having two beer.
Let's tell the people what happened. Jason, you're beating yourself up about it.
Of course.
But what happened was there were some technical difficulties. When we upload the pod, there are things that need to happen on the computer, on the program that we use.
It's podcasting 101. Save the project before you do anything else.
I have fucked up before, too. I fucked up the WrestleMania podcast.
Okay, but that doesn't mean anything.
You fucked up the Royal Rumble podcast. We appreciate everybody that reached out to us to let us know that we uploaded only a 13-minute podcast.
Or 7 minutes, depending on where you looked at it.
We recorded an entire 2-hour podcast. We got into it. We had a great time. It didn't work out. That shit kind of happens.
And that's on me, so I apologize.
Fair enough. I mean, if you want to fall on the sword.
No, I'll fall on the sword.
That's
fine. It was on me.
But Zach was here for the whole time. Zach can't be here tonight. We're going to do our best to do what we did the other day, and I think that I've had a couple drinks. I just got done bartending.
I had a couple of shots before I walked in the door, so yeah.
And so this will be a different kind of conversation.
But different.
Same but different. I'm sure that you and I will argue about different things that we argued about yesterday than we did it. But before we get into it, tell us about F&B Eatery.
F&B Eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton and Marquette, home of the best smash burger you never heard of. Follow them on all your social medias. F&B Eatery on Facebook, Instagram. Yes, I did. Twitter, the whole shebang. Like I said, for me, Instagram is the way to go because I'm a visual guy and I like to see what I'm getting ready to devour before I actually get into it. So do yourself a favor. Do like I do. A, follow them on social media. B, slide on in to F&B Eatery and tell them that Band from Ringside sent you.
Also, my wife is making these beard oils, beard balms, beard shampoos. If you guys are into it, if you guys want us to, we can ship it anywhere. It's good stuff. I've been using it for years, and I get lots of compliments on my beard, and I don't do shit for my beard except for this shit. I don't shampoo it except for the stuff that my wife makes, and she's been making it for years. If you guys are into it, hit me up. We can ship it anywhere.
2 down, several to go.
Yeah, for sure. Without further ado, let's get in that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
We will go back to, obviously, Sunday night for the Royal Rumble. Like I said, the first time around, I hesitate to even give WWE props because it almost pains me to do so. It's like my soul, a part of my soul dies when it happens. But unfortunately for my soul, I have to give WWE its props, especially with the 2 Royal Rumble matches. 5 total matches, 3 championship matches, and then the 2 Royal Rumble matches. For me, like I said, the first time around, the biggest takeaway for the Women's Royal Rumble was obviously Bianca Belair coming out on top. I thought it was a chance where they could have slid back to Charlotte because she was in the final 3. We said it the other day, it was almost like troll booking, if you will, because especially when you see Charlotte, the knee-jerk reaction, and I would be lying if I said I didn't think the same thing. It was that somehow Charlotte is going to win this and go back-to-back.
The final 3 were Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Charlotte Flair, which is about as solid as a final 3 as you can have, unless you're worried about Charlotte taking...
Which you should. Yeah, it's a legit
worry. But Charlotte gets eliminated, and then you got the 2 ladies, the 2 wrestlers that are going to carry this company forward. They're the future.
True.
You know, if the 4 horsewomen are the present, which they are, then Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are the future.
No, and I agree with that totally. I like the fact that they did a kind of callback to last year's build to WrestleMania when you had Charlotte winning the Rumble with Rhea Ripley being the champion and Bianca Belair close on her heels. You had that segment in NXT last year when Bianca Belair was basically like, well, you don't go here. You know, you ain't supposed to be here type nonsense. So now you kind of fast forward a year later. It's the Royal Rumble where you have those 3 as the final 3 women in the Royal Rumble. I thought that was a nice little callback to last year's build to to WrestleMania or whatever the case may be. Like I said, I shouldn't say I was honestly surprised. I was pleasantly surprised that they got to Rhea and Bianca Belair as the final 2, then even more so Bianca winning it. You could have easily went with Rhea Ripley. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. You could, from that point, you could set up Charlotte and Rhea. You could have done that anyway without having her win the Royal Rumble. Nonetheless, all in all, I thought this was a good way to start because, like I said, you could have easily fell back into old, tired habits with Charlotte, and they did something that I almost would say inspired, if you will, and put it on Bianca Belair.
We were watching it together at Jinder Mahal's house.
Banged up.
And we were banged up. Vice was there. It was the whole BFR family except for Lucha Chris and Two Beer. I mean, other than that, it was the 4 of us, and it was just the 4 of us. And it was a ton of fun. You know, I made a little bit of money on Edge later, but
yeah,
I mean,
right.
we can talk about that later.
In a second.
But when it got down to Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, I was ecstatic. I was like, I can't believe, you know, you watch so much WWE and you get so down on all of these booking decisions that they make. And this was one of the best booking decisions that they've made in a long time.
Hey, man.
And Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, and you would have been happy with either one of them winning.
Yeah.
Really, it's one of those things where it's either one would be a good...
acceptable as this year's Royal Rumble winner.
Definitely. I think that Bianca Belair, and especially when you take into account the babyface promo that she cut after the match, which is that's a star-making promo. That is one that will be on her highlight reel for the rest of her career. Amen. You know, she could be a Hall of Famer. We don't know. You know, we don't know what the future brings, but if she has a good long career, that's something that they will show forever because that was it was really something.
It felt genuine.
It felt genuine. It felt organic, and you know, babyface is hard to do.
Agreed.
Heel is easy.
Yeah. I was about to say, you can come up with... Easier.
Yeah.
Okay. But to me, like you said, that promo, I watched it the second time around to prep for the show on Thursday, and it really sunk home how good that promo was. I didn't even think she was legit crying until, like, they moved away from her close-up pan up and they moved away from her, and you could see the tears coming down her face. I was like, okay, see, this is... You couldn't buy better promos than what she just gave you right then.
No,
you felt bad for Rhea Ripley a little bit because, you know, especially if you're a Rhea Ripley mark, this has been one of those moments where it feels like everything's going against her, losing to Charlotte.
Rhea Ripley has had a WrestleMania match against Charlotte, though.
Agreed.
Like, Rhea Ripley, she's not made, but she's more made than Bianca Belair.
And this was the time to put Bianca Belair over, so now you have more depth past the 4 horsewomen and Asuka.
I mean, the truth is, like, I look forward to a WrestleMania match between those two women sometime in the very near future, sometime in the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Any other things that happened in the Women's Royal Rumble that you want to point out?
Just like little, I guess, storyline notes that kind of went through. You had at the end where you had Rhea Ripley and Bianca basically like, okay, we just eliminated Charlotte, so now, you know, they were basically hanging off the apron or whatever, and then Rhea was like, okay, hang on, let's roll back in and let's settle it like true babyface fashion. I thought that was another good spot for Rhea Ripley. Points to her for that, points to whoever did that on backstage. One of the funny parts I thought about the Women's Royal Rumble was when you had Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax wrecking havoc, and then they came across Tamina, and you had Nia Jax having to make a decision between her tag team partner and champion that they just won the titles that night, and family, which I guess it is family, but I mean, they don't really even touch on it until scenarios like this.
They only make Tamina look like a badass once a year.
And this is usually the one time of the year they do it, that or
like,
Elimination
nobody
Chamber.
buys Tamina as a badass.
Unfortunately, no. And I kept saying, like, Naomi, who did, I think, amazing, I think was in at number 2 and did over 30-some-odd minutes. Bianca Belair obviously sets the new record at 57 minutes. But I thought Naomi was a bright spot, especially when you didn't have Kofi on the men's side. You needed those Royal Rumble spots, and Naomi's good for it.
Can we just say, though, if you land on your back on the outside and your feet don't touch,
You should be out.
you're out.
Yeah, I get it.
Your feet don't have to
No,
touch.
but, okay.
I mean, that's...
To their credit, they say it beforehand. You fall, and both feet have to hit the floor. Feet didn't hit the floor, so technically...
Yeah.
But I agree. No, I agree with you. When she hit the floor, I was like, okay, she's out. And then immediately the refs came over and pointed at the feet. So
I mean, that's creative, but
it's
dumb.
how many...
Just say it's dumb. Just say it's dumb.
It's dumb, but I'll go
Thank
this
you.
far. How many times what more can they do original that they haven't already
I don't know.
done?
I'm not the one that has to come up with this shit. They're the ones that have to come up with this shit.
I think this is about as original as they were going to get at this point.
I did like that they didn't have the Women's Royal Rumble as the first match. I like that they had a couple things. We'll get into my favorite Goldberg match of all time a little bit later.
That's fucked up.
Anything else? The women's match was very entertaining. There are Royal Rumbles that are less than, and there are Royal Rumbles that are more than. It's always like the baseline for a Royal Rumble is that it's always going to be very entertaining.
This was entertaining.
And it was booked well, and
Yeah.
I liked the finish.
Yeah, I was going to say there was enough to where even though, like Royal Rumbles
I
for me,
really liked the finish.
yeah. I mean, you couldn't have painted the better picture. Maybe if it was Charlotte, maybe. Outside of that,
You mean Rhea Ripley?
no. If it was Charlotte versus Bianca at the end, and
see-
Bianca eliminates Charlotte, that's the only other way I would be like.
I like it being those two, though.
No, like I said, this for me was perfect.
Yes,
You
okay.
couldn't have asked for any better because Charlotte is made. She's over. Now, when you bring Rhea
Oh,
and
you think so, Doctor?
Yeah, say very over.
You think she's over?
Yeah, a little bit. But bringing these two in, now you reinforce the fact that Rhea Ripley is going to be a player at some point. Obviously, I didn't see SmackDown tonight, so I'm not sure if she's going to be on SmackDown or Raw.
Well,
My guess is
let's pretend this is Thursday and that SmackDown didn't exist.
okay.
because
My guess is she'll
all I
be
know
on
is
Raw.
the Pelicans covered. That's all I know from tonight.
And that's all you need to know. I would assume she's going to be on Raw because she eliminated Alexa Bliss. So that would lead me to believe that would steer her to Raw.
So, do you think that Bianca Belair? We're looking at Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania.
That would be my guess, but like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing Bianca and Io go at it for the NXT title. I know we kind of already did that last year with Charlotte, and it's probably not going to happen. No, it's fantasy booking. What's probably going to happen is Bianca and Sasha. What I would like to happen
You
is
can't
Bianca
have
and Io.
you can't have Bianca go back to NXT,
No, I agree. But if Charlotte didn't already do it, you could do it.
all right.
Outside of that, I mean,
That's fine. I mean, it's terrible fancy booking, but that's fine. So let's move on to the men's Royal Rumble, in which Edge won.
and Orton drew 1 and 2, which
Edge and Orton were 1 and 2.
I'm not a huge fan of announcing the names before the actual event. To me, that's half the fun of figuring out who's 1, who's 2, who's 16, who's 30. I like the surprises. Okay,
I like naming everything except for 30. I think that naming 30 is stupid, even though 30 is always a letdown. You're never let down by 30. I should say you're never excited by 30. 30 is always a letdown because it's a lat.
I won't say that. John Cena, when he came back after the torn pectoral, that wasn't a huge letdown. He wasn't even supposed to be back then.
It was I guess.
Look, I'm not a Cena guy by any stretch of the imagination.
Tastes very, I guess. But, that was a letdown to me. But naming Natalya as 30 in the Women's Royal Rumble, that's not moving. That's not moving the needle.
No, but Braun Strowman at 30 for the men's side kind of moves the needle. Now, do you expect?
Nobody ever thought.
I'm not saying you expected him to win. I'm just saying, when he came out, I was like, oh, shit, it's Braun at 30. Things could start getting a little tricky.
Are you okay with Edge winning?
I see both sides. I get it. Those who would slam a Brock Lesnar for winning Money in the Bank, I see why you would slam Edge for winning the Royal Rumble. He's not a full-time guy. He's, as far as I'm concerned, part-time, but he's still wrestling really good matches. Storyline-wise, I get it. It makes sense. I just kind of have a problem with it being a part-time guy. It's not the end of the world, like I said the last time, but I would be lying if I did not say I had a little bit of a problem with it.
I had no problem with it. I'm completely okay with it. They, everybody that was pissed off about it was saying that they didn't make a new star with the Royal Rumble. Guess what?
Did. It was just on the women's side.
Well, yes, they did on the women's side. Guess what? The Royal Rumble is not there to make new stars. I can read back every Royal Rumble winner since even before Flair when Luger and Hart tied, and they were not making new stars. It was always somebody established. I'll spare you going through it, but it's a lot of Ortons, it's a lot of Stone Colds, it's The Rock, it's Vince,
Triple H.
It's Triple H a couple times. Shinsuke Nakamura.
Benoit was one that kind of stuck out, but
he came in first also.
Mysterio, but yeah,
but
taken.
It's not there to make new stars because to win the Royal Rumble, you have to be able to carry the company and be in the main event at WrestleMania. It's not there to make new stars. Now, the purpose of the Royal Rumble has changed since there's been 2 belts. Because Edge won the Royal Rumble a long time ago, or Alberto Del Rio won the Rumble a long time ago, and he faced Edge. Edge won the Royal Rumble a long time ago, and those guys went first at WrestleMania. It was 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and in my mind, if you win the Royal Rumble, you headline. But that's not the way.
Later.
That's not the way it works anymore.
Agreed.
But they're not making new stars. In fact, Drew McIntyre was an outlier last year, too, and they have done nothing but make Drew McIntyre look like a fucking star ever since he won the Royal Rumble.
Agreed.
He beat Lesnar at WrestleMania. He beat Orton at SummerSlam.
Big show the night after WrestleMania.
He beat Goldberg at
Royal Rumble, yeah.
In my favorite Goldberg match of all time.
Right.
So, and also, if Edge, because we have to figure out who is Edge going to face at WrestleMania. Is Edge going to face Drew McIntyre? Is Edge going to face Roman Reigns? Is Edge going to face Finn Balor? Which I don't see happening, but there was a really cool segment on
it was
NXT.
A tease. It was a tease.
All three of those sound enticing to me.
Agreed.
If Edge faces Drew McIntyre and Drew McIntyre goes over Edge, Drew McIntyre is the most made guy that they've made in a long fucking time on WWE television.
No, I can't. I would be hard pressed to disagree with that. Brock Lesnar might be the one guy before Drew that might be able to say that they quote unquote made as a star.
But they made him a long time ago though.
Right. And that's been a while.
2003, 2004, then he went to the Vikings, then he went to UFC, and then
eventually came back home.
Yeah.
I guess if Edge is going to win the title, I guess that would be more of the bigger concern, where I'm not sure if I'm ready for another part-time world champion at this point. I love the Drew story. I like the way this is going. I wouldn't mind seeing Edge and Roman, but I think Edge and Drew might be the way they end up going.
Yeah, because I think they're going to go Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, because that's a money match too, and that would end WrestleMania, I think.
That could be a headline match.
But the other thing about Edge is that Edge is not necessarily a part-timer. Edge has been retired for a while, and then he came back, and then he got hurt with his tricep,
right?
Or whatever.
That was tricep.
Yeah. But we're not sick of Edge.
No, not yet.
It's not John Cena. Like, Orton won a couple years ago, and Orton faced off against Bray Wyatt, and that was tired shit, man.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
That was terrible. I mean, that's such mainstream shitty booking. You just want to forget about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, unfortunately, I never will forget about it. But yeah, it was pretty bad.
No, I'll never forget about it either, because they had maggots crawling on
the
floor and shit like that.
Cockroaches and shit. No, I guess we're just going to have to play the waiting game. But I personally, like I said, I wouldn't want to see Drew versus Edge, because I think that's the story where this
I want to see Edge put
going.
Drew over, and I think it'd be huge.
You don't think an Edge would go over?
I don't know.
I think he's one of the last Royal Rumble winners that didn't win the title at WrestleMania. 2010 was the last time that he won, and he faced Jericho, and he lost at WrestleMania 26.
Del Rio won the year after, though, when Edge beat him at WrestleMania. So Del Rio didn't win at WrestleMania either after he won the Royal Rumble, right? Yeah, because Edge went over, and then Edge had to retire
the next night.
And then they just exchanged Christian in for Edge's whole storyline.
That became the one more match.
Yeah. Anything else from the men's Royal Rumble that you were into? I thought it was a spectacular, very fun match. It had the comedy that you were looking for, if you're into the comedy part. I mean, if you're going to have an hour-long match with 30 guys, having Hurricane Helmsley come in.
Carlito was a nice
Hurricane
surprise.
Helmsley. Hurricane Helms, sorry. Carlito looked like $1 million fucking dollars.
I'm surprised he's not signed immediately back to WWE at this point as even a part-time star.
I mean, an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Shit,
so
he's
motherfucker's
been more than one just apple. I mean, good Lord.
Carlitos, he looked awesome. It was a really fun match.
Christian obviously coming back. That was a nice
surprise.
Dog, man.
And I love Christian. Love Christian.
Watching the Edge's face kind of like light up and like, oh, thank God, I got some help coming in. And this was late in the Royal Rumble.
People talk about how the Royal Rumble has not a whole lot of new stories to tell. I completely disagree, because what they did, they had Orton and Edge come out first, and then it was Orton and Edge at the very end, because Orton, they telegraphed it, of course, because he was hurt, and now we're watching him just RKO a bunch of motherfuckers. But when Orton popped up, they had it directed perfectly. Orton popped up right behind Edge and came up for the RKO. Edge kind of no-sold an RKO, which you don't see very often. And then Edge ended up going over. I'm not the biggest Edge guy. I was a big Edge and Christian guy. I've always said that Edge's singles run kind of passed me by. That was when I wasn't really watching wrestling, 05 to 10 or whatever. I think that's a good booking decision, and I think it's a good booking decision because the Raw segment with McIntyre and the NXT segment with Balor and Dunn, especially, were both good segments. Like, this is a good use of a guy that wins the Royal Rumble. Let this guy go in and he put over Finn Balor, which we'll get to later. But
well, I mean, if it happens, I would expect that Finn Balor should probably win that Edge Finn Balor match. Probably not going to happen, but if it does, that would be, a nice goal.
I'm just saying he put him over in the segment.
Oh yeah, for sure. Where, especially when he was like, WWE, where the E stands for entertainment, that's exclusive for this
Raw
side of the fence.
He's like the second W is what matters here.
And that's where immediately that's the Smarks probably just wet the pants and the whole 9 yards just because he said the
and
one
his wife is the color commentator
there. So I mean, yeah,
he watches it.
He definitely should be putting it over. So that was cool to see. I like the fact that him and Drew McIntyre kind of had a little a nice little, not spirited debate, but just some tension there. So
it also was not a face promo by Edge. Edge was like, "What the fuck's wrong with you, Drew?
You need to be on high alert from this point on because I can take this title from you if I choose to. Other people are gunning for you. You might not know about it, and the next thing you know, Sheamus kicks off Drew McIntyre's head. So obviously, that's probably going to be the setup match to Drew versus Edge, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, I didn't have a huge problem with Edge winning. It's, for me, the men's side was more like guys we didn't see versus guys we did see. Keith Lee was one of the big omissions that I was kind of looking forward to seeing. Maybe that's a COVID.
No Wyatt.
No Bray Wyatt. No Fiend or Bray Wyatt / Fiend. I thought that would happen early to kind of get Randy Orton out of the way, but they just pushed Randy aside and then brought Randy Orton back at the end, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but it all kind of worked itself out at the end. From there, I mean,
we also need to talk about, I know that we've talked about Edge a lot, but we need to talk about Edge's performance during the Royal Rumble because it's an hour-long match, and he wasn't an older guy that decided to sit out and take a breather on the outside while other guys were fighting.
Nope.
Edge,
he came in.
He took all comers. I mean, we're watching. It's on the TV right now. I mean, we're at number 7 right now, and Edge has been in there hanging off the ropes the entire time. He really put in an incredible performance. Good on him, man.
That plus the fact Daniel Bryan, I thought towards the end, him and Riddle, I thought kind of stole the Royal Rumble towards the end because they had a nice little technical 5-10 minute little sparring match between each other where it kind of made Matt Riddle look like he wasn't the comedy figure that they're trying to make him be. This was the Matt Riddle that I saw in NXT. This is the Matt Riddle.
It's the Matt Riddle we want.
Well, this is the Matt Riddle I want. Now, what other people.
I was saying we I guess it's. I mean, I guess if it's the Matt Riddle you want,
no,
you can have him.
No, this is the Matt Riddle I want. I'll just say this. This is the Matt Riddle that I want, number one. And number two, it felt like Daniel Bryan had a bunch of dream matches towards the end of guys that he wanted to work with and may not get a chance to work with. Daniel Bryan is getting a little long in the tooth. He might retire at some point, hopefully later versus sooner. But, that was a nice little spot there where Daniel Bryan and Matt Riddle, I thought, kind of stole the end of the show before Edge won the Rumble itself.
Now, there were a couple other matches. This was a great card. And I think as far as WWE pay-per-views go, this is about as good as you're going to get because
very few complaints on my end.
The Royal Rumble sells itself. I was happy with both the booking decisions. Super happy with Bianca versus Rhea ending it, and pretty happy with Edge winning it. That it could have been worse.
No, it could have been way worse.
Often has been worse.
Yeah, I was going to say Edge is the least of my worries at that point.
But we also had my favorite Goldberg match of all time because Goldberg lost. And Goldberg lost to Drew McIntyre, and he put Drew McIntyre over big. Now, on the Lost podcast, I said it was a squash. You argued back with me. You said it wasn't a squash. I will take that. I will say that it wasn't a squash.
If there was an action before the bell rang, and it was just a 2:31.
I watched it again sitting out on my porch, though, waiting for you to get here, because I didn't want a black man to have to sit in front of my house for too long.
I appreciate that
in this neighborhood, because you could have gotten the cops called on you. But I was waiting for you out there, as the ally that I am.
And I appreciate that. No, but, I'm with him. No, really, I know him. Stop hitting me.
It's 57:01. But I rewatched it because it wasn't very long.
No.
And Goldberg put Drew over big, held his arm up, all the good shit. So Drew has, in the last 10 months, gone over Brock at WrestleMania. Like I said before, Orton at SummerSlam. He went over Orton 3 times. Orton beat him once, and then he won it right back. And
had a banger match against Roman Reigns.
Yes. And then he went over Goldberg at Royal Rumble. So when everybody says, "Oh, we gotta have new stars," "Oh, we gotta have new stars," "Oh, you gotta have new stars," "Oh, they gotta make new stars," they're not making new stars. They have made Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is an all-timer now. They have made him look as strong as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, a year ago, if you'd have told me all this would have happened, I'd have looked at you crazy. They'd been like, there's no way in hell.
Also, I'll say, and I was the only one on BFR that picked Drew McIntyre. But I will say this, though. It never even occurred to me that Goldberg was going to go over. I thought it was impossible. And maybe that's naive on my part. It probably is naive. But I ended up being right.
Yeah, ultimately, so it makes you look like
you don't get credit for shit you're supposed to do. You don't get credit for shit you're supposed to do. I take care of my kids. You're supposed to take care of your kids.
Oh, Chris Rock, God bless that dude.
But I was happy with it.
No, we've just seen the Goldberg scene before, where he ain't got no shit business beating The Fiend, Kevin Owens, for the title.
That Kevin Owens one still hurts.
On the way to WrestleMania. It's like you said, you got to have somebody that's going to be able to hold the top portion of the card. And I get it. Goldberg is still a draw. Whether you like it or not, the common casual fan knows who Goldberg is. And if you're trying to get their $50, or they're $9.99 per month, you're going to throw Goldberg out there. This felt like one of those times where you could have thrown Goldberg out there, had him face the winner of the Royal Rumble, and then, you got one half of your world title matches, especially with this year when it's going to be 2 nights of WrestleMania again. You figure the title matches are probably going to be going on last.
I wouldn't be surprised if night 1 ended with Sasha versus Bianca Belair.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Because, like we said, that's a money match. I love the idea of Goldberg not being on WrestleMania.
It's a nice. That to me was the good faith gesture. Okay, we are not going to be fucking around with you guys tonight. Here is our good faith. Goldberg loses. Okay, because that's what's supposed to happen. Okay, Goldberg ain't supposed to come off the side of the milk carton and beat one of your strongest champions you made in the last half decade.
I listen to this wrestling podcast. I won't call them out because I don't think they're as good as us, and I think they actually ripped something off of us. They're way bigger than us. Way bigger than us.
And they're never mind.
I'm pretty sure they've heard us, and I'm pretty sure they ripped something off.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not
going
to announce them.
No, you bet not.
But one of the guys on that podcast said that he is glad that Goldberg got this run later on in his career because Goldberg seems to get blamed for a lot of the shit that was wrong with WCW back in the day. And, brother, I can't disagree with that more. Like, when you think about the talent that WCW had and all the effort, and that Goldberg is really the one that gets remembered the most from those days, and he was the one, he wasn't doing shit. He was coming in spearing dudes.
Yeah, it was 100 basic squash matches all the way up to the Hulk Hogan.
Basically, I don't think there's anybody more overrated than Goldberg.
I'm not going to argue with that.
I know that he draws eyes, and I like, but a spear is a spear is a spear is a spear is a spear, man. It's just a fucking spear. It's the fucking. You know what?
Those who sell it, I'll give you that much. But I mean, damn, how many different ways can you do the spear?
I'll say that Drew McIntyre is 100 times the pro wrestler that Goldberg is, though.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying.
All right, let's move on to another one. We'll go to Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler versus Charlotte and Asuka. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler go over, talking about people that are. I don't know why you're laughing. I'm just gonna say that Nia Jax makes that leg drop
Jesus Christ
look like it's got the degree of difficulty as a red arrow.
That poor girl. That poor girl.
That poor girl. She sucks. She sucks.
I'm not disagreeing with
Shayna
that.
Baszler, man, the shit that they could do with Shayna Baszler versus the rest of the women in, they are so loaded with women talent. So loaded. Like, people can say, oh, AEW women's division gets ran down a lot because it's not very good. It's nowhere near as good as WWE.
WWE has the superior talent. There's no question about that. Let's
not
put
even
that
close.
let's put that on the table.
And even when people talk about Impact and like, well,
I'm a huge Impact guy, but I still say that WWE would still have the better talent. If you line them up top to bottom, it's going to be hard to
if you
beat
name the top 10 women's wrestlers in the world, there would be one in the top 10 that's not in WWE.
Stardom aside, it would be hard for me not to say that there wouldn't be.
You watch a lot more wrestling than I do.
No, but I'm just saying, if you're going to do that, then I would put Stardom in there, and it would kind of take away from the WWE women. If you leave Stardom out, then yes, you would really have a hard time.
I don't want to focus on the bad, which is Nia Jax and her leg drop, which is just fucking
brutal,
just terrible, man. It's just like she almost just kind of fell. I do want to focus on Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, which was I'm on record as saying that last man standing matches are not my favorite gimmick matches.
This was good.
That match fucking ruled.
All the way up into the handcuff spot. You had the match of the night going.
That was a blip. It did suck that Heyman could not get the handcuffs off, and they had to kind of work around it.
Got to work around it. Stop counting.
Well, I mean, how often do referees count? Oh, right. Carlito just did a fucking kip up. Carlito looks like a
dude. That's what I'm saying.
$1
Yeah, I'm really surprised he's not. Well, he was on Raw Monday night.
He gets eliminated by Elias.
That's probably why you won't see him.
Well,
forward.
Jason loves making new stars, so Jason loves Elias getting rid of Carlito. I'll say this though: Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns was a very, very, very entertaining match that I've watched more than once already. I love the Swanton. I love KO getting ran over with the golf cart or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, AEW lost their minds on that. No, it was like I said.
Great match.
There was nothing wrong with that match up until you couldn't get the handcuffs off, and it kind of took some of the air out of the balloon, so to speak. Outside of that, like I said, you had the match of the night going up to that spot. From there, it kind of is what it is. It sucks the fact that you couldn't get the handcuffs off, but it really didn't take away from the match all that much. It kind of sucked, but like I said, at the end of the day, you still had a solid match. It probably could have been the match of the night outside of that bad spot with the handcuffs.
Carmella, Sasha Banks, also a good match?
Also a good match. I think this is probably the spot they had that bad boy in was a really good spot because it was just after Goldberg and Drew McIntyre, so you actually had a legit, quote-unquote, match to go with it. Carmella looked good, but like I said before, I just thought that Carmella coming right after Sasha winning was just a bad spot for her. She kind of gets herself over a little bit in this feud, but I'll be kind of concerned with her moving forward because now with Sasha being the champion and probably going to be the champion for a while, what's up with Carmella? Where does she go from here?
And the last thing that I'll say about the Royal Rumble is that we drew numbers before the night. I had 1 in 28. It was said that Randy Orton was going to be run 1 and Edge was going to be 2. Edge came out 1, which means your boy won $200.
Okay, shit. I say, fuck Randy Orton. I ain't waiting for this shit. No, it works. And at the end of the day,
did
like
you pay me?
Yeah, I was going to say,
pay me again.
Pay you again?
Pay me.
Damn,
no,
man.
I don't think you paid me.
No, I paid you,
give
motherfucker.
Give me the
money. Calm down, Stewie. I was about to say, I'll pay you when we're done.
So what kind of grade would you give this?
I said a B last time. I'm sticking to it. This was...
Yeah, but the people didn't hear last time. So do you want to amend it?
No, B. Solid B.
I'll give it a solid A minus.
There was very...
I'll give it a solid A. That's as good as you're going to get from a WWE pay-per-view.
It was as good as it was going to get. There was very few things that I didn't like about it, and that's rare, especially when you have a 4-hour WWE show. Bad Bunny is probably one of the things that kind of sticks out or whatever. And for me, it's just because I just don't know who Bad Bunny is. I don't get it. So
no, I don't.
But I get where they're going with it. They're trying to bring in...
We're old.
Yeah, we're getting old. So Bad Bunny, is for the generation behind us, and God bless you for it. I get it. It's just not for me. Outside of that, I mean, this was a solid-ass show, and I had real low expectations coming in for this Joker.
Nice. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, the 2 count is AEW Dynamite. Last night, or not last night, but 2 nights ago, which had a huge ending where it was Moxley and Death Triangle, Phoenix and Pac against the Good Brothers and KO. Good Brothers and KO.
Different KO.
Well, Kenny Omega.
I'm like, KO, wait, what? I know AEW's getting everybody, but damn.
But... KENTA comes in at the end. Hideo Itami. He was Hideo Itami in NXT.
Put some respect on that man's name.
I just ruined my own joke because I want to say that it's a big deal when an old WWE player comes into AEW. But
205 at that.
It is KENTA from New Japan, and he comes in and he attacks Moxley. So, what was your reaction to KENTA's appearance on AEW Dynamite?
If you said you saw this coming, you're lying. That's just the bottom line. Obviously, on Friday last, KENTA was attacked by Jon Moxley on New Japan Strong, basically setting up their match for the U.S. title later on in February. I think it's the 26th. Sounds right. That said... I know that you're going to see Impact guys bouncing over from AEW, Impact, so on and so forth. But this was the forbidden fruit we had talked about when Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho met a couple years ago at Wrestle Kingdom. Could this happen? Would this happen? That forbidden fruit, as far as I'm concerned, has been bitten, and bitten very well. New Japan is a part of this, I guess, partnership loosely at the moment, but I figure slowly but surely they're going to be that third promotion in this partnership or whatever the case may be. KENTA coming out was a huge surprise. I couldn't even say anything. I was literally stunned because it was something that you wanted to see happen, but you didn't think was going to happen, and all of a sudden, here's KENTA wrecking havoc and leaving. It was beautiful. I couldn't ask for anything more.
It's hard to really quantify how big of a moment this was because obviously we're big New Japan heads over here on BFR. We love KENTA. We love New Japan, obviously. KENTA coming in can be a few things. It can be just a one-off where Moxley comes in on New Japan Strong, so Kenta comes in on AEW. But what it signifies, most importantly, is that these two promotions have a working relationship where it's not WWE and AEW where they're trying as hard as they can to beat the other one. It's saying, you know what, we can have people that was one segment that had it was a Dynamite show that had AEW, Impact,
NWA,
and NJPW all wrestling on the same program. I sound like my grandparents watching my programs. My grandma and grandpa used to watch Amen all the time. That was their program.
Don't you be talking through my shows.
But all four promotions were represented on that episode of television on TNT, and that cannot be understated. It just can't be. And I can try to play. I can try to be the downer on it, but it is exciting because if Kenta can show up, who else is going to show up?
Could we see Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega title versus title? Could you see?
Now that is.
Could you see Shingo jumping in and going after Lance Archer? That's to me was, like you said, that Kenta showing up just opens up the possibilities for so much more.
Could you see your boy Naito on AEW? I know that you'd be very excited for that.
I was going to say that would be absolutely amazing. Just to watch him come in and just poo-poo Kenny Omega while he's trying to put himself over. Like I said, to me, there's so many possibilities with that. Kenta is the first door to open up to where you can really start to see what could possibly happen. The match itself was good. Phoenix diving through the ropes, literally going into the stands again. That motherfucker just has no plain sense whatsoever. God bless him. He's exciting to watch, but damn, he's good. It's one of those times where I'm glad there's not fans there because those jokers would get hurt. But like I said, to me, the most important thing was Kenta showing up, showing out, putting Moxley down, and now you would have the tag team match next week with Kenta and Kenny Omega versus Mox and, oh, shit, who is the other guy? Lance Archer.
Archer.
That should be off the fucking chain. And Lance Archer is a guy that came out.
Those were three guys. Those were three guys that were in last year's G1.
Right. And that, to me, it's not going to happen this year because I'm going on the assumption that things are going to move slowly, so you just can't jump to Japan and come back without having some quarantine issues. A year from now, 2 years from now, if this thing still goes on the path we think it's going to go, G1s will be exciting. New Japan Cups will be exciting. Battle of Super Juniors will be exciting. Anything tournament-wise, you can have so many more players coming into this, and it just makes the whole thing that much more better to watch. Competition makes people work harder. And I would hope that Vince is going to be looking around and be like, okay, this is going to be a time where we have to step our game up too. New Japan's coming into this mix, so now we got to bring our game up too. So now, hopefully that is where we end up going, where everybody thrives and the wrestling fan gets the entertainment value from it all.
That is what we've been hoping for. AEW Dynamite started off with a tag match where the Inner Circle ends up going over. It was MJF and Jericho. Any thoughts about that?
Several. Not a huge surprise when I saw it, especially when FTR was booted out of the match for cutting off Luchasaurus's horns, whatever. I mean, goddamn, heels can't be heels anymore and not suffer the consequences for it. For me, Santana Ortiz is the team that I think should have came out of this, is the team that I wanted to come out of this. But for the long-term storytelling, I get the MJF Jericho winning this match. Ultimately, fingers crossed, this is where MJF takes over the Inner Circle like I've been predicting for a few weeks now. But like I said, to me, I just have a hard time accepting the fact that two single guys win a tag team battle royal over the established team, the team that you brought into the inner circle to be the tag team of the faction.
It's WWE shit, to be honest.
It is WWE shit, and I would have a problem with
Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman.
Okay.
It's Steve Austin and Triple H. They had
a
the tag belts for a while, too.
And I would have a problem. I had a problem with that, so I would be hypocritical if I didn't say I had a problem with this. Santana Ortiz should be that team. Jericho and MJF are that team that's going to challenge the Bucks. From there, if they beat the Bucks, and that's a whole nother story entirely. That's where I really will have a problem with it. But the match itself was fine. Like I said, I did not like the book, and Santana Ortiz deserved better.
We had a wedding.
Oh shit, Kip Sabian, boy.
I mean,
he's a man with words.
What do you want to say about this wedding?
It's the classic, mosh pit of bullshit. Weddings and contract signs are basically, it's going to be a shit show. It's just how bad of the shit show you're going to get. I fell for the big box that Miro attacked. I thought that's where Orange Cassidy was. Obviously, he was in the cake from there. It was basically to set up Charles Taylor breaking away from Miro and company. And now, obviously, you'll probably get a tag team match coming up with Miro and Kip Sabian versus Chucky T. I
think you're being too nice. It was bad.
No, it was bad. There's no question about it. That and the Shaq segments were the two lowest points of AEW. They're both very reminiscent of what I don't like about WWE and what I try to get away from WWE from. And now, unfortunately for this week, these are the two things that I felt were the low points of AEW Dynamite.
They're not really doing with Miro what I hope that they would be doing with Miro at this point in his AEW run. Like, it's been shitty.
I'll say this.
Just say it's been shitty.
It's been I'm not going to say it's been shitty. It's been disappointing.
Just say it's been
disappointing.
We
don't know
shitty.
that if this
shitty.
is going to be if this is
Miro's say it sucks.
If this is Miro's way of getting over creatively, I'm not a fan of it. I like what they do with him in ring. They make him the monster that he is. Creatively, I'm not a fan of where they're going with it. I don't get this whole video gamer shit. Not for me. That's where I'm the old man, get off my lawn type shit. That's not for me. In ring, he's perfect.
Pretty old. Yeah, he's pretty old. Paige and Hardy as a tag team against Chaos. I'm not sure what they're doing with that either.
Teasing, I guess. Hangman possibly joining the big money Matt Hardy faction. I don't see that happening, but I mean it's something for Paige to do until we can start to figure out where he fits in, jumping back into the title picture against Kenny Omega. Ultimately, I'm thinking that's where it goes. Right now, we're just kind of spinning the wheels or whatever. But I do like the fact that Matt Hardy is a established heel versus, is he a face? Is he a heel? This is a heel Matt Hardy. I'm digging Big Money Matt.
My favorite thing about this episode of AEW was there was no Dark Order.
Dark Order was in the first match or whatever. 2 Dark Order teams were in the first match.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, but they lost.
Jesus Christ.
That was very little Dark Order. We had Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston in a lumberjack match.
Kingston to me is must-see TV. Even if when he talks, I got to listen. When he's in the ring, I got to watch. He was laying the wows to Lance Archer's chest. I mean, Eddie Kingston's chops are just not to be toyed with. I mean, he lays the lumber on motherfuckers. The lumberjack stipulation is what it is. I wish they would have gotten a feud coming out of that, because you got so many guys out there. You could have spun off a feud or two out of that. Besides that, I thought the match was good. I wish, like I said, you could have got a little feud coming off of that. Jake Roberts with the short arm clothesline was nice to see. Good to see that an old man can still kick a little ass from time to time. But at the end of the day, once again, this is more where Lance Archer is going. What's up with him versus the match itself. The match itself was good, though.
Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker, DMD. Good match. Clever finish. I like Thunder Rosa a lot. I don't really like the face paint, but I mean that's just personally.
Yeah,
that's
I was
just.
going to say, don't say Darby Allin just yet.
We're not gonna. I mean, we don't. Do you want to talk about Darby Allin and Sting's segment?
It is what it is. I'm at the point now where I'm just ready to see this street fight. If Team Taz can't take advantage of the numbers game, which most heel factions somehow seemingly do, then I'm at the point now where I'm just ready to see this match. How long is Sting going to be in? Will Sting take bumps? How many bumps does he take?
Is he going to do the Stinger Splash?
Yeah, shit like that.
Is he going to do the Stinger Splash? I mean, what a killer move. Fuck Sting. Fuck Sting.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. Fuck Sting. Are we pro Sting?
I'm not pro Sting, but I mean, damn, the man is an icon, for Christ's sake. I mean, that's what they're calling him. I mean, show a little respect. No, the Sting Darby Allin thing is starting to get a little overplayed. I'm ready for the match itself. Sting is cool, but I just don't want to see a lot of Sting moving forward. What I'm seeing right now is fine. It's just enough where I'm not being bothered by his
I'm glad
presence.
Zach's not here, so I don't have to be nice about Sting. I'm worried about hurt Zach's feelings.
I'll say he's a big boy. He'll be
The
all right.
good thing about Zach is that he never listens to the podcast, so he won't know whether we're making fun of him or not. FTR had Marco stunt gagged. I mean, I guess that's pretty okay.
It is what it is.
Whatever. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about with AEW?
No, just outside the fact that Kenta's back and New Japan might be really ready to make this thing very interesting on Wednesday nights. NXT might have some serious problems moving ahead.
Nah, that's a perfect segue to our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
The 3 count's going to be NXT Wednesday night. So there were 2 big things that happened on NXT that, particularly for this show, one of them particularly for this show, that being Kurt Stallion versus Santos Escobar for the Cruiserweight title. Kurt Stallion, friend of the show, he's been in this basement where we're sitting right now. He has chopped me.
Nice.
Open-handed, knife edge. Great dude. We love him to death. They're apparently, we talked about last week about how we're surprised that they let him keep his name.
I'm still surprised. I'm
waiting for them to change it.
Yeah,
to
he'll
be
be
honest.
Stallion in like a month or so.
He sold a lot during this match. It was a 10-minute match. He also got a hope spot that was really good. He had a tope suicida that looked
off the chain.
Incredible.
Went under the middle and the lower row, which feels like it would be harder. He got himself over, and ultimately that's where I think with Kurt Stallion, that's what you need to look at. If you didn't have Karrion Kross kind of hanging over Santos Escobar, then maybe I would have been able to see the title change hands. But even then, I don't necessarily think that the title changing hands wouldn't stop a Karrion Kross Santos Escobar feud for whatever reason. I guess, Santos Escobar is talking shit, so Karrion Kross is going to get pissed. To me, it takes away from the match itself with Kurt Stallion. Scarlett being there was more so about her versus the match itself. And I don't think you necessarily needed that. That feud's going to be there. This was a chance to kind of put the focus on Kurt Stallion's, bias as it may be, have him look good in the loss, and then maybe after the fact you could have brought Scarlett out and then have that feud kind of continue from that point. The match itself was good, and more importantly, Kurt Stallion got himself over. So when he does become Cruiserweight champion at a later date, it won't be like a Leon Ruff thing where it's like, who the fuck is, Kurt Stallion? You know who Kurt Stallion is. We gave you a little taste, and we'll give him the title at some later point.
Yeah, I'd say that them making this big of a deal about him getting the match means that they are high on him.
They don't give people's talking spots, talking segments, or whatever in back-to-back weeks if they don't have some sort of plan.
Yeah, they don't give him backstage promo spots unless they're serious about him.
There's a plan. It's just right now Karrion Kross is the guy that's going to be dealing with Santos Escobar, which is fine. Maybe there'll be a scenario where they run it back and Curse Stallion wins it off of Santos Escobar, which should be the way, because right now they built up Escobar as a dominant champion over 200 days. So whoever beats him should get this rub. It should be Curse Stallion.
Pretty excited for our boy, and good things should happen to good people. He's a good dude, and I hope
he'll be champion.
I'm excited for him. I really am. The other segment was Pete Dunne and Finn Balor had a segment, and then You Think You Know Me happened, and Edge came down, and Edge stood in the ring with Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, which Jason always makes fun of whenever I say that standing in a ring with somebody like Edge gives those guys some rub. That's what it is. That's what it's called, rub. It gives them some rub, and it makes them look like a bigger deal than they were before Edge came down. So Edge standing in a ring with Pete Dunne and Finn Balor, especially Pete Dunne.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Finn Balor
is pretty much he's
set.
made.
He's made.
Pete Dunne being in the ring with Edge now
and
makes
shrugging his shoulders at him.
I'd have done the same thing too when I was your age, kid. Yeah, that little interaction was cool.
It was a fun segment.
And it made you think, what if? Okay? Like we kind of talked about before, I don't think this is going to be the what if scenario, but it was cool to see what could be. What if you did have Finn versus Edge, or Finn versus Pete Dunne, or Edge versus Karrion Kross, which they teased at the end of the show.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up.
That to me was like the one where I was like, ooh, yeah, okay, see, I like this. This could be a match that I can sink my teeth into. So as much as I don't like the fact that Edge was on NXT for the ratings portion of it, they did it right to where you got enough intrigue to where now I don't feel like it was just worthless, shameless promotion.
Like we said earlier, Edge is married to Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix is the color commentator on NXT. So you know that Edge watches it. You know that Edge loves wrestling. He's like Stone Cold. Like, he never stops watching it. Stone Cold watches New Japan and shit. Like, Stone Cold's into it. You know that Edge is into NXT. He put over Finn Balor so hard in that segment. He looked at him, he goes, "You're doing things that are special." That is, for somebody not like us, for more casual watchers, if you know who Edge is, and then you're watching this, and Edge says that to Finn Balor, then you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh, this Finn Balor guy must be the real deal.
Yeah, I want to start watching him moving forward.
Because he's not in there doing it to Jinder Mahal.
No.
No offense to Jinder Mahal.
Whatever. A total offense to Jinder Mahal.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Bomb. B-U-M, bomb. Sorry.
Well,
sorry, not sorry.
Okay, well, I mean.
It just proves that Jinder Mahal can get heat, because as soon as you said his name, it was just like, boom, fuck that dude. Okay.
That's Jason putting Jinder Mahal over. We're getting a Gargano-Kushida match at TakeOver a week from Sunday.
That's going to be off the chain. I'm glad to see Kushida finally starting to get a little bit of a push.
We're getting Pete Dunne, Finn Balor.
That's going to be off the chain. Literally, this is a takeover that reminds me of the takeovers that we've been watching and the takeovers that we enjoyed. You have the triple threat women's match.
They got to give them time, but
if they do 4 or 5 matches, like I think they're probably going to do, you'd have the 2 Dusty finals. You'd have the women's and men's title matches, the North American title match. So that's your 5 matches. If you leave it like that, that's plenty. You got 2.5 hours of banger ass matches.
That's going to be a hell of a card.
Yeah. This is the takeover that we've been waiting to see come back.
So, who do you think it's going to be in the Dusty finals? So,
if I'm not mistaken, you have
Thatcher and Ciampa versus Grizzly Young Veterans, and then you have MSK versus
was it Lucha House Party?
The Hart Foundation?
No.
Yes, the Hart. No. The Natural Disasters. Did you hear me? Did you hear him answer me Like, seriously, when I said the Heart Foundation? Listener. Are you listening to this? Did you hear him say, no? Like I said, Heart Foundation, like it's actually the Heart Foundation?
No, Anvil's coming out of the grave.
It's MSK versus, fuck.
I thought it was Lucha House Party.
Or is it Legado del Fantasma?
It's Legado del Fantasma. They beat Lucha House Party. So it's MSK and Legado on one side, and then Thatcher and Ciampa versus Grizzled Young Veterans.
So we're
other.
probably getting MSK versus Grizzled Young Veterans, right?
I want to say yeah, but the way they're pushing Ciampa and Thatcher right now, even though it is the two
they're
single
a great
guys,
tag team.
They do have good chemistry together. I just wish they had done this before they had the fight pit match. I'm not going to say that Grizzled Young Veterans goes over. I'll go with MSK on one side. I think that's the slam dunk, and I'm going to stick to what my gut is telling me, and my gut is telling me that Thatcher and Ciampa will win over Grizzled Young Veterans.
Well, listen to your gut, bro. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, they had the Japanese vignette, which
I thought was good. All bullshit aside, it didn't.
It was very well produced.
It didn't really sink in that it was a vignette.
It intrigued me.
Yeah, I thought this was something totally non-NXT related, and then when I started to watch, I was like, "Oh, okay, never mind. This is NXT related," and it reeled me in.
It was really well done.
At least it answered the 5 W's of who, what, when, where, and why, and answered the who. Who the fuck is this person right here? And now we know who she is, which was nice to see as well. That's a nice little nugget moving forward.
Yeah, that is 5 W's. Yeah, I thought it was really well done. It definitely intrigued me.
Yeah.
Like, and I appreciate when they put a lot of thought into stuff, you know, and they definitely put a lot of thought into that.
It's a hard push for Xia Li and Boa. Like I said, they better not be losing anytime soon.
I think that's going to do it for our 3 counts.
1, 2, 3.
Not a whole lot else to talk about. Let's talk about Shingo versus Tanahashi.
Neverweight open title match.
Yep.
Longest neverweight open title match in history. We'll go over 35 minutes where Tanahashi surprisingly, I shouldn't say surprisingly, beats Shingo. And I've said it on a match with a list of matches for Match of the Year early 2021. This is on my list. I did not expect Tanahashi to win this match. I thought it would be a nice back and forth match where you got Shingo to go over. But when I stopped to think about at least the history of the Neverweight open title, guys don't hold it that long. I think the longest, consecutive defenses is either 4 or 5, and Shingo has it. So that kind of was an indication of it. It could happen. I just didn't think that it would happen. So kudos to Tanahashi. Once again, the ace of New Japan pulls one out of his ass and beats Shingo, who I'm a firm believer that is going to be, IWGP champion at some point. But yeah, this was a banger match. Like I said, it's on the list of match of the year candidates.
I know we use this term a lot. We say banger match a lot.
This was a banger match.
This match was a banger.
Physical as I thought it would be.
Shingo is always super physical. Tanahashi always. New Japan just does something different than all the other ones, which is all the storytelling is done in the ring.
Yeah. And this was a scenario where, for me,
what was it? 26 minutes?
No, it was like 35.
35 minutes.
That's why I was just like, man, this is a 30-minute match. It felt like it wasn't going to end anytime soon.
All the storytelling is done in the ring, and that is something that wrestling fans like us really appreciate, and that's what, if you decide to start watching New Japan Pro Wrestling,
which you should,
just surrender yourself to the matches, though, because the matches...
The matches tell the story.
It's all about the matches.
Right.
It's all about what happens in ring. They can do they always
the backstage comments are good. It leads you to where things possibly go,
But
especially with Jay White.
It's not necessary, though. Like,
No.
if you want to know everything about New Japan that you need to know, all you have to do is watch the matches.
No, the backstage comments are cherries on top of the cake. Like I said,
I was also surprised that Tanahashi won.
hey,
But it does seem like Tanahashi will probably be a transitional never openweight champion to Great-O-Khan.
I guess. I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with you.
He's a young man.
Yeah, but I mean, I wasn't overly impressed with him at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think Tanahashi's going to have his hands full making him look like a credible singles champion. If it was somebody else, I would probably be more on board.
Let's be honest, though. His Wrestle Kingdom match wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. It just in
wasn't,
comparison to everything else around it, it sticks out as a low point.
You also got to think, though, like, it was third on the card or whatever. Like, you have to build up on a card. Like, that's the way they...
I'm not disagreeing with that.
All right,
I'm not disagreeing with that. It's
Okay.
just like I said, Great-O-Khan has work to do, and I'm not sure if giving him the Neverweight Open title now helps him moving forward.
This is banned from ringside.
All right, Jason. So, it is 1:53 in the morning.
That's it.
That's it. I feel like we've covered everything that we need to cover. On the podcast that we did last night that didn't get uploaded, for reasons.
Okay, man. You want to just rub my face in the salt, or you want to put some lemon in that too?
Because we fucked up. We talked about the NXT Philadelphia 2018 pay-per-view last night, so we're not going to talk about it tonight because Zach needs to be here. But this is just a chance for all you people that are listening. When we do cover this, you guys are going to want to watch this because this is the Gargano, Andrade Cien Almas match, the Adam Cole, Aleister Black Extreme Rules match,
yeah.
the Ember Moon Shayna Baszler match, Authors of Pain versus Undisputed Era, and then there's Velveteen Dream with Cassius Ohno, which is filler.
It is what it is.
But the rest of it
Yeah.
is off the chain. So if you guys want to watch that, we're going to be talking about that in the very near future. We have some birthdays to get to this week. Chris Sabin is 39, younger than me.
He does not look younger than you.
Damian Priest is 39, younger than me.
Okay, man. What? Is this everybody's younger than fucking Bill segment? What the fuck?
Connor is 41, younger than me. Say that again?
Younger than me.
Big Show is 49, younger than Jason.
He's older than me, man. He's
Classy
older.
Freddie Blassie is 103, same age as Jason.
And dead as fuck.
Jim Neidhart is 65, younger than Jason. Sensational Sherry would have been 63, R.I.P., younger than Jason. And Taiji Ichimori is 38 this week.
Rabbit fever, middle of the night.
Hey, everybody. We appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to out there, so we appreciate you listening to ours.
Speak on it.
For FME Eatery.
Check.
For Bill's Beard Company.
Check.
For Vice.
Check.
For Lucha Chris.
Check.
For Murray the Murray Man Murray.
Check.
For Two Beer Zach Bowman. He had tons to say about the Royal Rumble this week.
Yeah, that's me.
For Jason Cornelius Bell.
I'm an idiot.
I am Bill Vagey.
Check.
Everybody, Black Lives Matter.
Check.
Support your local restaurant. Support your local weed dealer.
Check,
Boo
check.
the heels.
Boo!